everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's podcast. This is episode 108. It's just me and Amy this week. Apologies about there not being a podcast last week. Obviously, there was the game on Wednesday, and then just schedules and clashes and stuff like that. We couldn't get a chance to film, but we're back this week. A number of different topics to discuss on today's episode. We'll start off nice and light before we get into the chatty ones. Obviously, Liverpool Women played Sheffield Utd on Sunday in the league, and we came out victorious, a 1-0 win thanks to Rinzola Babajidi's stunning goal. Absolutely stunning. Like, I'm so happy I could see that in real time, because it was just one of those goals that I feel like I'll just stick with me for like the entire season. That I feel like could potentially, even though there's still like 7 months left of the season, could be like the goal of the season for Liverpool Women, just because of how amazing just the build up, what she did in the moment was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I feel like she almost did the same like a couple of minutes earlier as well, or at some point she did the same. But it's like we see it every single week, and it's funny that defenders don't realise that that's what they're gonna like come up against and don't like prepare for it as well as you'd think. Maybe they do, and she's just too quick. Let's go with that.
She's just that good.
Yeah, it's just like it's the twisting and turning, and it's like the ability to go from like so slow to like 100 miles an hour is just crazy, and the footwork is unbelievable. She must work super hard on that. But yeah, it's up there with definitely one of the goals of the season. But we've seen her do it loads of times, like season after season. She's done that same thing, and she's just a total asset to our squad, and ultimately she was the difference. So. What more can you say?
And obviously, we started that game really well. You could see, obviously, we scored within like the 4th or 5th minute. I don't know, might have been a little bit later. But like we were able to keep that tempo for at least the first half an hour of the game. I remember saying to like a couple of people, like a couple of us discussing around it, we're just like, it's so refreshing, because obviously the Man City game was. It wasn't as important as the Sheffield game that was coming up on Sunday. So you could see that obviously there was a change in team and tactics and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, I don't know what was said to the players beforehand, but I think it was just their mentality altogether. To obviously we lost against Leicester, we then drew against Lewis. It was we needed a win. And also, did you see my lights just go off then?
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, I don't know what's just happened, but
the fuse is gone.
No, they're still on, but they've just dimmed. Anyway, I think just the whole tempo of our team, I think particularly in that first half, was just amazing. Just the hunger, desire. We could have had 2 or 3 more goals in that first half. I felt like.
Yeah, for sure. I think the one player that I thought from like the get-go that sort of installed that sort of intensity, I think was Mel Lawley. I think literally from the second that the game kicked off, she was pressing, running super hard, and sort of like making things happen, bringing the ball up from deep and literally running at their defence constantly. So I think she's a massive reason as to why we were able to capitalise on so early. And something that I feel like we don't actually really do is we were playing super direct, super down the middle. We weren't actually using like flanks as much as we do on other times. Usually we rely on Mel Lawley out wide and Rince out wide to sort of draw the ball into the corners and then either turn and get a shot off or cross it in. But we were super, super direct, and that kind of worked into our favour, because I don't think Sheffield were necessarily expecting that. I think they were expecting us to stretch the play really wide. So it was interesting to see that sort of change in tactic, and I think it caught them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think something that did shock me a little bit was obviously Sheffield were top of the table and were doing really well against loads of teams. I know they lost to Durham the other week. I think that might have been in the cup, but in the league they've been really consistent. But I don't know whether it was an off day for them, but I just thought we looked a better team for the majority of the whole game. And when you come up against the top of the table, you probably 9 times out of 10 expect them to get a few more shots off than they did. Obviously, there was a couple of close calls, and Laws had to get involved.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I thought we were really progressive and were just overall the better team. And I think on this occasion, the better team definitely did win.
Yeah, the Sheffield did have a really decent spell in the second half. I think for a good 20-25 minutes, they did put us under pressure. That was bound to happen. You know, it's hard to keep consistency levels throughout the full 90 minutes. You knew it was going to happen. But I was really impressed with like the substitutes that we made for us. I think obviously Jess Clark came on. She added a bit of pace up front. Moore came on. She played really well. The others
came on for that.
She played very well as well. Yeah, I think it was nice. The thing with Hodgson, she went off for Bailey in the just like 2 or 3 minutes before half time, and it was in my head. I was thinking she slotted into like right wing, right midfield sort of, and I was thinking, oh, maybe she's just gone there for now. Obviously, be a change of, but she sort of stayed there, and Mel Lawley sort of got to play like the 10 role for a lot of the game, which I felt like suited her as well. Obviously, Rachel Furness plays that position so well that you kind of don't think of anyone else playing in that role. Mm-hmm. But like you were saying before about Mel Lawley, she just looked really at home in that game for me. Like she didn't look nervous. I don't think she's a nervous player anyway, but she just, I don't know, it was just something about her in that game that she just really
She's more aggressive.
Yeah, like
she's more aggressive. Like I feel like we've seen a different Mel Lawley as a player this season than what we saw last season. I think last season it was almost like she was a bit shy. She just, she didn't look like the signing that we thought she was going to be, but 100% she has been this season already in the amount of games that we've played, and I'm sure there's much more to come. I just think such a focal point. I think she works well with Fernie as well. I think Furness has got the ability to bring out a lot in all the players, which is something that you want, but especially Mel, she just seems to have sort of taken it up a notch this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think all of them have, which is really nice. That keeps us, I think we were third in the table anyway. But it puts us level on points with Sheffield now and only 1 point behind Durham. So, we're doing well. We're doing well at the minute. We're keeping it consistent. Obviously, there's a handful of teams who can really, get that top spot in the championship. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy, and obviously this proves it. There's 3 of us who are on 14 points with Durham on 15. So, and then Lewis a fifth with 11. So it's tight near the top. But that's what you like. You want a little bit of competition. So
yeah, I think the main thing for us as well was to beat someone at the top of the table. I think we've been really good with teams that are a little bit lower down the table in position at the moment. But obviously that loss against Leicester was disappointing, and then obviously the draw against Durham on the opening day was also not necessarily what we were expecting. But now there's proof on the table, as they say, proof in the pudding, that we can beat those teams at the top of the table. And I think that's something that Vicky Jacobson can now tick off the list and go, right, we've shown we can do it, let's keep it up. So let's just hope now there's a bit of consistency. Obviously a game against Blackburn this weekend, which, well, I was looking at our current record this morning, is pretty astonishing. I think we got a 3-1 win, and then I've actually got it written down here. A 3-1 win.
The 8-0 game or the 6-0 game as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I've written it down. Oh, have I written it? I don't know. But it was a 3-1 in 2018, 6-1 in 2019, and then 8-0 in 2020. So we've got a pretty good scoring record. Yeah. So fingers crossed that plays to our advantage. Although Blackburn haven't been doing that badly.
No, they haven't.
But yes, hopefully we can pick up another 3 points and keep within that top bracket, let's say.
Yeah, most definitely. This is the main subject of the podcast, I think, now that we're going to move on to, and it's one that's probably been on the minds of a lot of women's football fans, since the announcement of lockdown and whatnot. Obviously, girls' academies were were told to close due to lockdown restrictions and not meeting the elite status level that some of the male academies do. Obviously, there was a bit of backlash surrounding that, simply due to the fact that the female academies closed, but the male academies were able to play on. Obviously, the men's FA Cup's going ahead, but our women's FA Cup was come to a halt and whatnot. A lot of people gave their opinion on the matter. A lot of former players, a lot of current players, obviously fans and like us in general. But what was your initial thoughts when obviously lockdown was going to happen? Immediately for me, I was like, oh, does that mean the football's going to stop altogether? But obviously that continues. Obviously our teams meet elite levels and whatnot. But if I was a player in an academy who was playing for a Liverpool or a Blackburn or a Brighton, but I wasn't able to continue to play, but one of my male counterparts, where I'd feel a bit hard done by there, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too. It's we always say this, but it'd be nice to see the decision behind that. Obviously, they say do not meet necessary elite protocols. Well, what does that mean exactly? Tell me what those protocols are, and then maybe we all have a better understanding of it. But I agree with you. Like, if you are at the same level and tier in the academy as someone of the male gender, and they can still go ahead and you can't, it's a bit strange. And I know we all know that the academies and the men's team are funded well, and probably the academies and women's team are heavily underfunded. That could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
But there seems to have been a giant U-turn now, so they can reopen if they do meet it. So it's super strange. But I think as obviously we've been in this world of women's football for quite a long time now. If I was a young girl and seen that, I would be like, well, that's not fair. Like, what's the point? It's super demoralizing. And I think that the sooner people start to realize that women's football means something to people, and it's such an escape for people, not just physically but mentally as well, they'll be able to see how much that decision should have been overturned and should never have been made in the first place.
Yeah, and obviously it's not just the academies; it's obviously the whole football grassroots level anyway. And you obviously touched on like mental well-being there. Like, that's the biggest thing. Lockdown now is completely different to lockdown in March, April, May time. Obviously it's dark here by 5 p.m. That's difficult for a lot of people, especially if you're now working from home, or maybe you're on furlough, or for the kids who are just going to school and then coming home and not being able to go out with their friends and be able to do what they want to do. Going to that football training for 2 hours of a night, twice, 2 or 3 times a week, was their escapism and their time to be with their friends of an evening and just be active and learn new things. But now they can't do that. And Manchester United manager Casey Stoney touched on it as well when she gave her comments. She said, for me, they are elite. It should be based on contract hours and the amount they train, rather than whether you're on a contract or not. It means that our players have another 4 weeks out of the game. It means their mental well-being is being affected. I think that's the big thing, because it's not even a week that we've been in lockdown, and obviously you're working from home, so you're getting no escape between home and work. Obviously my job, I still go to work, but then I'm coming home and just sitting in of an evening and thinking, well, is this just our life now for the next 4 weeks? It's just work, home, work, home, work, home. And, I think you can speak for someone who works from home. I'd find it hard to find a balance between my working hours and my free time, especially of an evening. Like, we touched on this before we started filming, like you were saying, you found yourself going to bed later than what you normally would, because you're trying to catch up on speaking to friends or going through social media or like watching a film or watching a program that you wanted to watch, because you find it hard to find a balance between your working hours and your social hours.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and as someone who hasn't really worked full time before, I think it's been even harder because you don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is being disciplined. Like what I tend to do every single day is I get up, have my breakfast. I get up early enough to be able to at least have breakfast. I don't eat breakfast at my desk. I eat it downstairs. So it's like it's kind of saying, okay, I eat downstairs, but this is now my office. I like come up to my office like you would commute to work. And then at lunchtime, always take an hour, which is what I'm contracted to. I know other people are contracted less than that, but that's what I'm on. Every day I go for a walk, split it up. I get out of the house, and then it's like you going back to work into the office after, you know what I mean? So it's doing that. But for a lot of people, they can't do that if their job's slightly more demanding, or they have meetings from different countries, time zones, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, even in academies, they get home from school and then they look forward to going to training at like 6 o'clock at night. So they have a bit of time to do homework, bit of time to do rest, and then go back out again. But it is like you do sort of just sit about, and it's really, especially now gyms have closed as well. That's another thing that sort of intertwines with it, because a lot of people find a lot of release in gyms. I'm quite lucky that I can do my gyms every day from home because I've got a space that allows me to do that, but a lot of people don't. So it's another thing, and I don't know whether that's the issue. I think the issue is more the fact that men were allowed to carry on and women weren't allowed to carry on. I think that's where the agreements sort of come from. I think if from the beginning, if they'd said every academy, regardless of age, gender, blah blah blah, is closed, I think there'd still be a lot of people upset about it, but I think you'd feel less discriminated against by it. So it's super difficult, and it because it's such unprecedented circumstances, no one knows how to deal with the situation. So obviously mistakes are going to be made, but a mistake like this, I don't think as the world is so on its edge at the moment anyways, it's just asking for trouble, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Baroness Sue Campbell, has obviously had her say on it. I think she spoke with the Telegraph about it, that they're trying to work on a solution to get girls' academies back up and running. Obviously, she says that they've spoken to academies to talk through the elite protocols and said if you feel you can meet these, you can open. But she said in reality, there's going to be very few of them that are going to do that, just because of circumstances and what's available to them. Obviously, if you compare a female academy to a men's academy, it's going to be a lot different. There's going to be less staff. There's going to be less money available. I think the big thing is obviously testing. Obviously, regular testing for players. If you think about Liverpool Women, they probably get tested on a weekly basis, maybe even twice a week. I highly doubt that academies are going to be able to fund to do that. And that's obviously the big thing, is just the safety of players. And, but then on the other hand, you can't help but think, well, why not give the same amount of money to a female academy as you would do to a male academy? That's how players are made. You speak to any male footballer and they were like, oh, this academy helped me. Give that opportunity to the female players, and think about in 10 years' time where women's football could be because of how much money was pumped into an academy. I think once you reach 18, you're then regarded as an athlete in the female game. I think 18 and below, you're still considered as like a grassroots footballer. I don't think it's until you get like your first contract, but it's baffling to me. Like I've never been in an academy. I didn't do that, but to me, if I was, if that's something you're working at every day, playing a game, you training, that's what you're so focused on, but you're not considered in these moments as as an elite club, or not able to follow that structure, then how's that going to make you feel?
Yeah, it's just as I said, it's the comparison between men and women. Obviously the safety comes first, but it just seems a bit unjust, that whole decision being made. But hopefully it's something that gets resolved and things can all open back up again.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let us know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'm sure people will have similar, maybe, they can shed some light some more on it. So let us know in the comments. One thing I think obviously big for Liverpool fans is the men's team. We've obviously left Melwood now. That chapter is closed. A new one's happening with the new Kirby training facility. But I think the big thing on all of the Liverpool women's supporters' minds is, when are we going to see our team in that training facility? When are we going to see the women's team there? Obviously there was a big thing about that when the plans were first announced, and the women weren't part of the plans. It's come out obviously that this year that they are going to be part of the plans. That is going to be something. It's just a case of when the time's right, and how it's going to happen. But now that the men's team have moved to Kirby, it's done now. It's almost a case of, well, I want my women's team there as well. Like, I want to see them going in that building. I want to see them being able to train there and be integrated. The big thing for the men's side is to have like the first team and the academy as one. Well, for as much as we go on about we're one club, one team, let's have the men's, the academies, both men and women's, and our women's first team as well. Because the difference that could make to our team as well, if we have our available facilities for our women's academies as well as our women's first team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's nice to know that there's obviously discussions going on and it's not been completely shut off, but I definitely think it's got something to do with the whole Prenton Park situation and the fact that we're still contracted with them until the end of this season. Maybe we're sort of waiting for that to run out before we make any decisions or whatever that sort of stance is. But I think the benefits that the women's team would get from being around the first team and the academy for that matter would be amazing. Just the sharing of experiences, like even having something as if Jordan Henderson saying hello, or just getting to know you and giving you any advice and things like that. As someone who probably a lot of players do look up to in our Liverpool team, because obviously a lot of them are Liverpool fans, so I think it'd mean quite a lot to them to do that and be regularly around that atmosphere and that mentality. So it's definitely something that I think if it doesn't go ahead, it's a massively missed opportunity from Liverpool. But it does sound positive. I think that's what we all need to remember. Yeah. It's in the works and nothing has to be made now because we can't move now anyways. So fingers crossed in the next few months we'll hear at least something.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is our final season in the contract with Prenton Park and Tranmere Rovers to be able to use their facilities, and obviously great facilities available for us there. But I think it's just the whole thing of us just wanting.
It's not Liverpool, is it? It's not.
Yeah, we just want to be involved with the whole thing of it. Do you know what I mean? We want it to be a one club, and like I'd be absolutely buzzing to see pictures of Jurgen Klopp and Vicky Jepson just having a little chat at the training ground one morning during like just little things like that can make such a huge difference. And I think it's going to come. I think it will. I genuinely do believe that next season that's going to be our training facility. Like, why wouldn't it be? Obviously, depending on circumstances, we don't know. But it seems like it is going that way. But yeah,
we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, should we wrap it up there? We've been waffling on for a while.
We have.
Don't want to bore you too much.
I'm absolutely starving.
Yeah,
Starving.
you have to get back to work soon, so.
I know.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Remember to let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. I think more than 50% of yous aren't subscribed who watch. So please subscribe to the channel. We absolutely buzz off every time we get a new subscriber. So yeah,
road to 2K.
Road to 2K is fully on the way.
Hashtag road to 2K.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but thank you very much for watching. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you all very soon with a new video. Bye.
Bye.